Hey guys, welcome back to another week of the Life's Worth Living podcast. I'm your host, John Gossett. I want to, like we always do, thank our sponsors. We're so grateful to have GTM Builders as a sponsor of this podcast. They allow us to record in their beautiful model home here in Overlake. And if you're thinking about building a home, now's a good time to do it. The Tooele County area is booming. We're the 7th fastest growing county in North America for the second year. And GTM Builders is our premier home builder. They do amazing work, build a beautiful home. If you're interested, reach out to them at gtmbuilders.com or visit one of their 4 model homes in the Tooele Valley. Tonight's episode is brought to you by A. Warner Homes Real Estate. If you're thinking about buying or selling, interest rates are at an all-time low right now. Give them a call at 801-867-5078. They'll take care of you. Mention you heard about them on the podcast, and I would appreciate that. We also have a sponsor for tonight that I want to thank specifically, the Comfort Inn and Suites in Lake Point. They are providing lodging for our guest tonight, and they have become a sponsor of the podcast. They appreciate what we're doing, and we sure appreciate them. We do a lot of events, and we try to team up with them on certain things. It's a gorgeous hotel just right there by the shore of the Great Salt Lake. And so if you are coming to the Tooele County area and you want to find a nice, clean hotel with some great amenities, give them a call at 801-250-3600. Check them out online, Comfort Inn and Suites of Lake Point. So, I am way excited. I got a friend that just rolled in from central Utah, from the big city of Richfield. And I really appreciate her coming all this way and coming up to hang out and talk about something that I have been super interested in. You've been super interested in for about a year. And it's my friend Amy Larsen.
Hey, everyone.
From the Communities That Care Coalition in Sevier County.
Yep.
So thanks for coming up.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
See, I told you I wouldn't screw up anything.
Yeah, you did great.
So, we met a little over a year ago, right?
Yeah,
A little over
August
a year ago.
2019.
Yeah, remember like it was yesterday.
September.
I think it was August when we came in. So, let's kind of, before we get into that, tell us a little bit about you.
About me.
I don't want to jump right into the good stuff. We want to find out who you are,
Okay.
where you came from.
All right. So, like John said, I'm Amy Larsen. I was born and raised in Arizona. I am a twin, and I also have a younger sister and 2 older brothers. And I went to college in Mesa.
Nice.
And then I just got my associates because I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And then I moved back home to work at a youth center. Mm-hmm. And that is how I kind of met my husband, who was an ag teacher at the high school. So from there, we moved to a couple different places. And
An
then,
ag teacher. So where is he from? Big city, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the big city of Malta, Idaho. Southern Idaho. Yes. So small. Such a small community.
So you guys met in the middle and made your home.
Yeah, made our home in Richfield.
Nice.
So we lived there for a little over 5 years. So we have 3 children, a 10, a almost 6, and a 3-year-old.
Nice.
Yeah. And so I was a stay-at-home mom for about 8 years. And I needed a change. I wanted to go back to work. And so I looked, and this position as the coalition facilitator came up. And I got to work with people, and so I interviewed, and they loved me, and so I got the job. I work with suicide prevention and substance abuse prevention.
Gotcha.
So through the coalition.
And the coalition is really a cool thing. And so what a great place to be. How do you like Richfield?
I love it. I didn't think I'd like it because I was really loving where we lived, which was Taylor, Arizona. And
Where's that? Is that in the Phoenix area?
So no, it is northeast Arizona.
Okay.
So yeah, it's so nice. I had a bunch of friends there, and I didn't want to leave, but my husband got a position with the USDA in the NRCS department, and so we moved.
Nice.
And yeah, we love it.
You know, I hadn't been to Richfield. I mean, I'd driven past it on I-70. I've never been there until my youngest son wrestled, and we came down and wrestled at the Sevier Center. And I said to my wife, man, I love this town. It's such a pretty small town.
It is.
It really is. It's beautiful. You've got everything within a couple hours. I mean,
Oh yeah.
you know, you can be in the palm trees in St. George in a couple hours, right? You can be up by Fish Lake, and
Oh,
you
yes,
know,
Fish Lake.
it's such a great place. Well, I love it down there, and so it's kind of been fun to get to have some stuff to do with you and have a reason to come visit.
Yes.
So let's back up. So you took this position,
Yes, I should
How
probably
long
mention
ago?
it was Central Utah Counseling Center
Central
who
Utah,
was hiring for the position. And
Nice.
yeah.
and it's through the communities that care.
Yes, it's a Communities That Care coalition.
And which we should probably say, their job is kind of to bring everybody in the community together and to, you know, get everybody on the same page working
Yes.
together, right?
And yeah, we work to help prevent youth drug abuse, youth suicides,
Underage drinking.
underage drinking, just everything to help protect our youth in the community.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool. So now let's back up, and we can kind of talk about what kind of brought us together and started this whole ball rolling. So every February, the Life's Worth Living does an event, usually up in Farmington area, and we bring in speakers and kind of do a little conference just for our group, you know. And we got up there in 2008, was it 18?
18 or 19.
19. I think it was 19. 2019, February. And one of the people that had come up to be part of our thing in Farmington had received word as he entered the hotel that we were doing our thing at, had received word that his nephew had passed from suicide in the Richfield area. And it was devastating. I mean, here he's coming to a suicide prevention thing to find out that he's lost a nephew that he was very close to, and they had a really good bond. And here the unthinkable happens as he's in the parking lot, literally coming into the hotel.
Goodness.
And so we were able to sit down and talk to him a little bit. And, you know, our event's going off at certain times, so it's going, but we're visiting and talking in the hallway and stuff. And what a rough deal. And so that was the first time Richfield even came into view, as far as I was concerned. Then the very next day, or the day after, I received a phone call from a parent in Richfield that had a daughter that had made an attempt and was life flighted, I think, up to Utah County. And he had reached out to me and said, listen, what would it take to get something going down here? And I'd explained we were in Tooele, so we're two and a half. How many hour drive was it? 2.5?
Yeah, it was about 2.5.
So we're
I'd
about
say.
2.5 hours north. And I mean, we're kind of a bedroom community of Salt Lake City. And so I promised to get him in touch with people in his area. And we visited a little bit. And then I kept getting word of different suicides that were happening in the area. And it was really odd because I generally don't get calls from like one specific area that kept coming in, and I didn't know anybody in Richfield. And so a few months go by. I want to say it was like May, I could be lying, sometime around May, maybe, I think it was May,
I think it's
for the pageant.
for the pageant. I think that's when the pageant is. So.
I think it is. And so I got a phone call from a young lady down there, Bethany Hells, and she explained to me that she was running for Miss Sevier County, that she had lost some friends in high school to suicide, and it had devastated her. And she recognized that something needed to be done, but she didn't know kind of, where to go with that. And so she had reached out to me and she said, would you mind if I ran on the platform Life's Worth Living and talked about suicide prevention? And I said, oh, absolutely. Anything I can do to help, I'd love to. And so she said, would you come down to the pageant? And so I said, yeah, absolutely. We'd come down. And so I had said to my daughter, you want to go to Richfield with me? And we'll go down for the weekend and go to this pageant. And my oldest daughter says, oh, yeah, we can go down. So we went down and we watched the pageant. So again, May, right? Somewhere in there. And at the end of the pageant, I had kind of a little gift basket for her and went to walk up on the stage at the Sevier Center, give her a hug, get a picture with her, and thank her for everything she had done. And she says, are you leaving? And I said, yeah, but seriously, thanks for having us come down. I appreciate you so much. Let's keep in touch and figure out what can be done. And she goes, oh, no, you can't leave yet. I've set up an appointment with you, a meeting with our county commissioner. And it was Commissioner Ralph Brown. Yes. And he was there at the pageant, supporting it as a county commissioner. And so she did all she had to do. We kind of hung out. And she walked me over and found a quiet place for me and Commissioner Brown to sit down and talk. And Commissioner Brown had let me know, gosh, it's happening far too often. It's been a really rough year. Right. I know that week, I think it was in May, that somebody that he worked with, the county attorney, had lost a child to suicide, and he had said, we got to do something about this. And I got to give Commissioner Brown credit, because he just said, if there's anything that we can do and try to improve things down here, I'm all in. Anything we can do. And he kind of put me in touch with the health department, with Valyn Levitt. And Valyn is a sweetheart. It was so kind to me, and she immediately got in touch with me, and she said, I'm going to see what we can do to set something up, and I would love to have you guys come down and talk to all the people that work in prevention, and first responders, police department. I think she had even mentioned the hospital workers and things, and she wanted to have a big meeting and kind of lay out our ideas and kind of see what would happen, and that's where I met you. Yeah. And you took this ball from August, I think it was, when we came down and said, let's make this thing happen.
I did. So it's funny, though. Valyn called me, and I was in a training in St. George, and she was so excited about this and how I needed to talk to you and that we wanted to get this going. And so she's a member of my coalition. And as members of the coalition, you can bring, you can talk about whatever you like to have happen in the community and what you want to bring to our attention. And I thought this was a great idea. And so, Valyn and I just worked our butts off to get this to happen.
You did. And I think we tried to make it happen. When did we do the event? It was September?
So it was November. We wanted it to be early October, but we just couldn't get it until November. But it happened.
Well, see, you got a better memory than I do, so I'm glad you're here.
I did some research before I came.
Well, good.
But yes.
But we came down, and it was my wife Tracy and myself, and we came down and we talked to everybody. I think we did it at ambulance.
Yes, that meeting was at the ambulance department building.
So we came down and we met with all the prevention people. I think you had superintendent, school district. There was a couple of principals I remember that were there, and ton of prevention people, and we just said, hey, anything we can do. But our ideas were to bring some trainings down, some trainings that everybody in the area could have that works in prevention, bring down some trainings for the community, and just kind of make it a useful couple of days. And really rock it out and try to get as many people on board. And, the one thing that I would back up and say is in 2014, our own county, Tooele County, had a really, really rough year. And I think what we recognized from that was sometimes it's really hard because you live in a smaller town.
Right.
You're face to face with these people that assume, this prevention's your deal. And you have to answer for all of that, even though it wasn't your doing. You kind of are faced with answering to your neighbors and people maybe in your church and people that at the school district and things. And so everybody's kind of taking heat for a bad year. And we had that. And there was a lot of pointing fingers and a lot of blame game. And it's an uncomfortable place to be. And so when we first talked, I think I had expressed to you and Valin, let us come down and support you and say,
Yes.
Listen, we're going to come down, make sure everybody in the community knows there are so many things going on in the valley trying to prevent suicide. Because I think when you're not in that space and you don't have that at the top of your mind all the time, suicide, you can kind of wonder, is anybody doing anything? I know I felt that way in Tooele when I wasn't involved in it. I'm like, is anybody doing anything? And there were tons of people doing things, but it wasn't on the top of my mind. And so we thought, gosh, if we come down, we can do the trainings. You guys set everything up. We'll come down, do the trainings, and we'll train the prevention specialists a little differently than we'll train the general public, but we'll let the general public know, hey, you guys have some really good assets down here in Sevier County, and let us point you to the people you should talk to so that you know who's doing what. And that kind of takes the pressure off, I think, and instills a little bit of faith back into the system that there are people working on this, and that was kind of our goal in mind. And so we kind of pushed forward with putting the plan together, and don't let me mess up any names, but the Shaddicks?
Yes, Shaddicks. And Sarah Shaddicks.
Ryan and Sarah Shaddick agreed to allow us, and he's a pastor at the Calvary Springs?
Calvary Chapel.
Calvary
Sevier,
Chapel.
Calvary
Yeah,
Chapel.
Sevier Valley.
Yes.
Calvary Chapel, Sevier Valley. Those people are wonderful.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And they said, come on down. The church will host it. We'll do it right there. And it's right on Main Street.
Yep, right on Main Street.
And so they opened up their church to these weirdos from Tooele County and and let us come in. And so the first day was a Friday.
Yes, it was a Friday.
And there was something that we had talked about kind of behind the scenes. It was sometimes in suicide prevention, it gets a little territorial.
Yes.
And you get one group that says, well, we do this, and one group that says we do this. And it's not that anybody thinks they're the only game in town, but there gets a little bit of, well, we do it this way and we do it the other way. And so we thought, well, we'll sit down with the prevention people, and we're going to train everybody in Safe Talk, which is a half-a-day training. And so one of the things we wanted to do was kind of come down and lay the groundwork that, no one's in competition in this. It's we all work together. And so I brought down a really good friend of mine, Taryn Hyatt. You know Taryn, you've worked with her. She's one of my favorite people on the planet. And she is the director of American Foundation for Suicide Prevention for the state of Utah and Nevada. And I called her up and I said, would you be willing to go down with me and co-train Safe Talk with me? And she goes, oh, I'd love it. And I think she had Had she done the walk yet or was getting ready to do the walk down there?
So the event was in November. So yeah, we did the walk
You'd just done it.
in September.
Yeah. And so she had been involved in the community and doing the Out of Darkness walk in Sevier County, and she was all on board. She goes, oh yeah, I'll come down for sure. So we planned on her coming down. I brought down Marianne Oborn, who, I'll mess up her title. She's over all of the counselors for Tooele School District. So she's the head of counseling or something, but she's over the entire counseling department for Tooele County School District. And she and I do a lot of trainings together up here. But what I credit her with is when we went through that really rough year in 2014 and our numbers were so high, she kind of stepped in and said, I got to make sure everybody's working together. And she made sure that everybody knew that they had a place and they were important and what they were doing was valued. And it made a huge difference up here. And she and I became really good friends through that. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to bring her down and have her teach coalition building. And she's an amazing lady. And like I said, one of my best friends. And then we brought down Heidi Peterson.
Yes, Heidi.
Heidi Peterson works for this.
It's a new last name now.
Yeah.
She's got married.
Dutson. I think it's Dutson now.
Okay.
Congratulations, Heidi.
Congrats.
And she's an amazing lady. And she ran our communities at Care in Tooele, and she did such an amazing job at it. The state plucked her right out of Tooele and took her to the Department of Substance Abuse and Mental Health at the state level. And so she now works for the state. And I said, gosh, would you come down with us? And she's like, oh yeah. And it was a weekend and she's doing it on her own time, but she's like, absolutely. We brought down Tony Broadhead that I think she's probably one of the greatest Hope Squad advisors ever. The kids love her to death, but she's at Stansbury High School here. Okay. And I said, would you come down? She came down. We brought down Honor 365, Melissa and Nigel, and they both came down to support the veterans and first responders in the area. Who am I missing? Gosh, we brought down all these people and thought, let's come down and let people know it's just not one group that can matter. We're all going to come down and do this. And so that first day we presented coalition building and safe talk.
Right.
And then the second day we opened it up to the community and we taught the youth in one area and the adults in another area and did QPR.
Yes.
And
the cool thing is, although we have several people in Richfield and the Sevier County that can teach QPR, it was nice to see a different face teaching it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you need every once in a while.
Because I was going to say, we all have people that teach QPR, like you said. But if you're like me, I like to see the different ways that people teach it. And then you can steal a little bit from this person, steal a little bit from that person, and kind of make your own deal. But you can pick and choose the way that people, because everybody presents differently. And so it was awesome. And excuse me, one of the things I really wanted to do was, I'm friends with a Nashville recording artist, Tim Gates, that was the lead singer of Due West and Nashville Tribute Band. And he happened to grow up in Richfield. And so I reached out to him and I said, listen, this is what's going on up there. He had no idea. And he just said, anything I can do. And so we said, would you come up and perform a concert in Richfield in your hometown after we've done all these trainings and just kind of get everybody excited? And he said, absolutely, I'm happy to do it. And he did, and was such a stud about it. And so he's an amazing person. And so we pulled off this 2-day event, your coalition and all of us weirdos from up north. And it was a lot of fun. And there was a lot of tears shed and there was a lot of hard stories to hear. But I felt like when we left there was a lot of new friendships, and I think everybody had kind of refocused.
Definitely.
Like we can make a difference.
There was a refocus. I felt there was a refocus in our area after that.
And did you have comments from the community or anything following that?
So we did. There were some people who have previously said there's no suicide prevention help at all here in the Sevier area. To, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I came to this training because now I know where to go to get the help that I need, or to get the information that I need for friends or other family members. So,
yeah. And what about? Do you hear anything back from the prevention people?
So yes. So we worked with the Central Utah Public Health. They do a lot of things with prevention, and they were just on board with anything and everything we had to do. And Belen has always been on board with us, which I love. I love her to death because she's always willing to lend a hand in everything that we do for the coalition. I think we got more cooperation from them. There's New Horizons Crisis Shelter and Center. It just all the different organizations, the police department, the mayor, just everyone, I believe, just came together and realized that this is something that we need to work on. And so it was a big focus for the community now, which was really nice to see.
Well, and one of the things that I said, and I say stuff all the time, and I'm like, I should think before I speak, but as we were leaving and we were taking pictures with everybody, I remember saying, if the community embraces this training and the prevention people realize we can all work together and it's not about who gets credit for what or anything. If we can do that and we can make that happen, I promise 1 year from now, those numbers will change and they will go down. Yeah. Now, when I said that, again, I had no idea we were going to have COVID-19.
Right.
Worldwide, have the world in lockdown for how many months this year so far, and I know that we have seen those numbers increase in other areas. And so when we talked a while ago, I was like, do you know what your numbers are? And you said, well, I can find out. But I was like, well, let's do this. Let's get together and do the podcast.
Yeah.
I don't care where the numbers are as far as whether we do the podcast or not. If they're up, they're up. If they're down, great. And so this was something we had planned on for a while, and I'm stoked to hear where you're at. But
right.
I do want to preface the fact that we did get word a week ago from the Utah Coroner's Office, and our suicides have not increased through COVID, which is totally different than some other areas in the country that are seeing huge increases. And so Utah's kind of held steady.
Yes.
Doesn't mean our numbers have gone down, but they haven't gone up much either. And so we're kind of level.
Yep.
And so I made you that promise, and
you did.
I've been worried all year thinking, I wonder how that worked. And we've kept in touch throughout the year, but I've been really curious. So
okay.
I'm going to shut up. I want to hear tell me some of the things that you gained from that weekend as far as what do you think made a difference, didn't make a difference?
Okay.
You're not going to hurt my feelings.
No.
If you say anything bad, we'll just edit it out.
Okay, sweet.
I'm teasing you.
So last year, I don't know, I didn't know a whole lot about this suicide prevention world. I was probably 6 months in on the job, and I had all this thrown at me, but I was excited about it. But I also knew that our community kind of needed to step up with this prevention stuff. So I think after you guys came down, I think it was, like I said, kind of like an aha moment. People need to start working with each other. The word needs to go out more. We need more trainings. We need more people in the schools. And so from last year, there are 5, but I think they just hired another one. So I think there's 6 mental health coordinators in the school, in the school district, and they go from school to school. So there's more help now in the schools for the kids. The community coming together to make more of an awareness for suicide prevention. And not just that, for substance abuse prevention also.
Yeah. And it's funny how those things kind of, they intertwine.
They do.
And so we joke about it saying prevention is prevention, but it doesn't matter what part of prevention you're working on. Ultimately, the end game's the same. You're trying to make that difference.
Make the difference, yes. Also, Central Utah Counseling Center, along with the Central Utah Prevention Coalition, we have been able to get out more in our community with events, with being vendors at the town events, and just kind of spreading the word about suicide prevention. I'm a notes person. So, and just being able to get more people on board with the coalition and going through the process for CTC and eventually getting those programs into our community that will help our youth.
Great.
So, yeah.
I like it.
It's been a lot of work, but I mean, there's more.
Well, you lay it on me.
Okay. So since you guys also came, I knew since I was new as the coalition coordinator, I kind of had to do like a refocus of the coalition. And so from there, I went to a couple different coalitions in the state to see kind of what they do and what has made them successful. And so the things that started in January, what my coalition started to do, we got ourselves a chair for the coalition. We wrote bylaws. We did more prevention training and got some of our coalition members also to those trainings. Let's see, we got our articles of incorporation, so now we are stated as an official corporation through the state.
Cool.
And let's see, and for our CTC process, we are in the final stages of the final stages of the resource assessment and evaluation work group. So we're about to write that report.
Oh, cool.
So, and then after that, that's when we will be able to pick those tested and effective programs for our community.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So we've kind of been busy,
So-
even through COVID.
Yeah, that's awesome because everybody else has
Yes.
kind of been like, it's hard to get together.
Yes.
It's hard to have those meetings. Are you doing them via Zoom?
We do. I do, yeah, Zoom, and most of them are Google Chat.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So one thing that I think, just because this podcast goes out such a big area, tell everybody, so Sevier County is, you guys, you kind of have a unique spot. So like in Tooele, we're such a large county land-wise, we have a Tooele County Health Department. But your county and your coalition is over how many counties?
So, my coalition we're over different parts of the county.
Okay.
We're over North Sevier and South Sevier.
Okay.
We're actually trying to take on Wayne and Paiute counties also, which are part of the Central Utah area.
Yes.
Now, there are 3, I want to say, other coalitions in the Central Utah that I call them like my sister
Gotcha.
coalitions.
So like branches kind of.
Yeah, and I work with them really closely.
And the health department is over, I want to say it's like 5 or 6 counties,
6
isn't
counties.
it? 6
Yeah,
counties.
6
And so that kind of makes it unique too in what you guys are doing because you've got all these different areas that you're working within. And I think that kind of adds some unique challenges to the work you do down there. But Richfield is approximately how many people? It's like 10,000, I think. 9,800?
I don't know. I should have looked that up.
No, I think it is. I think it's around
It's-
9,800 people.
It's nice and small.
It is.
That's
and
why
such
we
a
moved
pretty
there.
place.
Because it was a smaller community.
And so when you get in a community that size, some of the challenges I think are when someone dies by suicide. All of a sudden, we talk about in Talk Saves Lives, one of the slides is, when somebody takes their life by suicide, it leaves 100 people affected.
Yeah.
And, when you have somebody attempt, again, in a community that size, so many people are left in that wake going, wow, what just happened? And so when you're in a small town, that word travels quickly and everybody knows. And so that has its own probably challenges as far as, you don't want to have a bunch of suicides based on one. And you're having so many people that are family and friends and neighbors and everything within the schools. Everybody knows everybody.
I know. Yeah.
And so, what do you? Do you have other challenges than that worry you in working in a town that size?
I think substance abuse along with suicide.
Yeah.
So, for instance, I mostly work with like Richfield, Monroe, and North Sevier, which is Salina. And it's just crazy how different we are. Salina is really high in underage drinking.
I can
Richfield
imagine.
was higher in suicides. So, yeah, we might be semi-close to each other, but we have our difference, like big differences. So,
And you're getting those numbers from the SHARP data?
yes, our
So
SHARP survey.
maybe explain that to people that aren't in the state of Utah.
So every other year, there is a survey sent out to 6th, 8th, 10th, and 12th graders. And it's all anonymous. And they take this survey and it tells us kind of about their mental health, drug use, drinking, everything that we as prevention specialists or prevention workers need to know to help our youth become better. They take this survey, and from there, we gather the data for our different areas. Like, we get data from the high schools, the middle schools, and then we also get data from as a whole school district. So.
And so you take that data and it kind of tells you the areas where you need to focus, what
Yes.
resources.
So like a risk factors.
Yeah.
Yes.
And what a cool thing that is to be able to dial it in, because that way you're not, wasting time on areas that aren't really a
Exactly.
concern. And so really cool. So tell me what else you've been doing this year down there.
Okay, so we have, let's see, what does my notes say? So we have actually gotten a few grants since last year. We've gotten at least 3 that I've been kind of working on. Also, our prevention specialist, Ashley Gleave, has been a big help with getting these grants to our area. One of the grants is our suicide prevention means reduction grant. And with that, we are focusing on getting the word out about Is Your Safety On?
Yeah.
Which is a campaign.
And when you
Right.
live in the West and
Yes.
and gun ownership is high,
It is. Hunting is a huge thing.
that's
And
And
it's-
in your area, what teenage boy isn't out hunting?
Exactly.
And so,
Right. Or
it's,
have access to
yeah.
a gun.
access like
Yes,
crazy. And so
access.
it's really a neat thing. And that kind of was pushed through by a friend of mine, Representative Steve Elison, and I posted about it the other day. But such a good guy. He's constantly making sure that Utah's working towards anything that, that's kind of a tough subject to bring up.
Oh, yeah.
Because you have people that are avid gun owners and sportsmen and stuff, and they get nervous anytime somebody brings up, safe storage or anything, feeling like they're having their Second Amendment rights kind of pushed. And he's really had the ability to sit down with them and say, listen, this is the reason. And we're not trying to take guns away, but we need to make sure that we're being responsible
that
gun
they're
owners.
safely put away. Yeah.
So that's
we don't want to
amazing.
take your guns away. We
No.
just want you to properly put them away so your children cannot get to them.
That's a great thing.
So, yeah, and also with that grant, we were able to buy some gun socks, which you put over your rifles or your shotguns, and then gun locks.
Cool.
And so we'll be giving those out to our targeted population for this grant. Will be adult males who are working in the trucking, mining, and farming industry. So, and also we'll be training those people as well.
Cool.
So, yeah, we'll do like QPR trainings, and hopefully we'll get a few of those people trained as trainers for QPR so that they can start training their own
Within their
employees.
groups
Yeah,
and
which
things.
in their group and stuff too.
Way cool.
So, yeah. Another grant is our NAMI grant, which is National Alliance on Mental Illness. And with this grant, we use this money to wrap trucks. And so they use the term wrap a lot in things. And it's, well, I show you what we've done. They're stickers that we put on big trucking trucks, I guess.
On the trailers and stuff.
On the trailer, yes.
Awesome.
So,
And so for those of you that don't know, Richfield sits right on I-70 that goes east and west through Utah into Colorado. Way cool.
yes, so with that,
And for those of you that are listening and not watching on YouTube,
yes, sorry.
you missed out.
Yeah, I just showed you what
Really
they look
cool.
like.
So if you want to see those, go to our YouTube channel, Life's Worth Living Foundation, and look up this episode, and you'll be able to see those. Really cool.
Yep. And so our prevention specialist, Ashley Gleave, went to Robinson's Trucking and got them on board right away to put those on. And as people saw the stickers on the trucks, they would just call us, they would message us and say how cool it is or how much this is going to help people. And Barney Trucking got word of that, and they got on board also.
Way cool.
So yeah, and then with that, Ashley will be doing lots of QPR trainings for their employees
Nice.
throughout the state. So yeah, kind of opened the door for
Yeah,
us a
that's
little
way
bit.
cool.
Yeah. And then our third grant that we've been given is the Parents Empowered Community Partnership Grant. And this grant, we're going to be wrapping another type of thing. But we focus a lot on like Richfield and Monroe. Monroe is super close to Richfield, unlike Salina is a little bit further away. So we kind of have been focusing on Richfield and Monroe a little bit more than North Sevier. And so we decided that we need to pay a little bit of attention to North Sevier, especially because their underage drinking is at 48% for their youth. So Ashley went to the town council and gave him this proposal about wrapping the Black Hawk Arena. Now I don't know too much about the Black Hawk Arena in Salina, but I do know they do events there, lots of rodeos.
Oh, cool.
And it's like a family place. People go as a family there. Teenagers like to go there when there's events. So we thought that would be a perfect place to put all this Parents Empowered underage drinking information in.
Yeah.
So we got that grant, and we're going to be working with them to do that sometime. later this year and early next year.
And again, what a cool thing to have the sharp data so that you knew exactly what community
Yes.
needed that the
Yeah.
most. Because I think when you get into rural areas that don't have, like you live in the big city and there's plenty of things for kids to do, and you get into these outlying areas, and ours is no different than yours as far as there's just not a lot to do. And so you will find things like that as a teenager. And so Parents Empowered, what a cool group
Yes.
that is, that the work that they do is so important. And I know we've put up theirs through our communities at Care Up here too, and done some things. So that's amazing. Those are big deals.
Yeah.
Way big.
Yeah. It's kind of gotten us out there and showing the communities that we are here to help, and we're gonna help. We're gonna make a difference.
And so you're going to start rolling those out now this year.
Yes.
And then what else do you have going on this year? Anything or stuff that
So,
you're working towards next year? Or
September, we did the whole Out of the Darkness walk.
Yeah.
And
it was done virtual, right?
yes,
this year?
everything was virtual, and I didn't know how that was going to look.
Yeah. That's none of us knew how
No.
2020 was going to
Right?
look.
Who knew? But I was asked to be a co-chair for the Central Utah Walk, which is nice. I got to work with Cindy Rowley, who is a 4th grade teacher, and she has also lost a son to suicide.
Wow.
And since then, she's been working with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And so we came together, which I already knew Cindy because she was my daughter's 4th grade teacher. So that
really
was kind of
cool.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cindy, myself, and Taryn, we got to work together, and we did activities during the week of Suicide Prevention Week. Mm-hmm. And then I was also involved in the honor bead ceremony, which usually at your own event, you do it in front of your big audience. But this year we did it virtually.
Up north, didn't you?
Yeah, I came up north, met some really neat people, and heard about their struggles, and it was kind of like a spiritual thing for me, because we all struggle in one way or another, and to be there together and to do this ceremony for everyone to see over the state, it was just really cool.
It was really cool.
So got done with that, and now we are working on the National Drug Take Back Day, which is about opioids, and
it's a real problem.
Yes, it is a real problem, and
It's a real problem in my medicine cabinet too. I mean, you don't realize the buildup that you get of stuff that I tease, and my wife, but I tease all the time because I'll get a prescription and I'm ADD, and so 3 days, 4 days into it, I'm like, I'm feeling better, and then you have a half a bottle of stuff still kicking around, and I've heard the numbers from these take back days of the amount of drugs that are turned in, and it's staggering.
Right? And I know for me, what I've heard is people keep them in their cabinet just in case they need it, or worse, just in case someone in their family might need it. And yeah, we shouldn't do that. But luckily for these take back days, lots of coalitions, they'll have an area in their town where people can come and actually bring their expired medications, and an officer or a sheriff's officer will be there, and he will take it for them and put it where it needs to go. And so this year we're going to do that, and we have ordered medication lock boxes. So for the first 25 or 50 people that show up, they will get a lockbox for free when they give us their meds. And luckily for us in our Sevier area, we have 3 permanent drop box locations. So
where are those at?
So one will be at the Sevier Valley Hospital in the pharmacy. Another one is at the sheriff's department by the jail. And then the third one is in Monroe at their pharmacy.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah. So there are places, but lots of people don't really know about them. So it's nice when there's an activity like this, and then we're out in the community and people can bring it to us, and then that's when we can tell them, look, there are places permanent where when you do have that expired medication, you can take it there.
Yeah. Well, and they're also trying to let people know, don't flush it down the toilet, because that's causing so many other problems. But they have a way to dispose of it that's environmentally friendly. And, it's such a good thing to do, because we talk about limiting access to means in all of our suicide prevention trainings. If that means that you've got access to a firearm and you're in crisis, maybe make sure that they're locked up, that ammo's not stored with it. But it goes right into the drugs. We're seeing, and I don't have the number off the top of my head, but put it in the ballpark, suicides nationwide, we're seeing in the neighborhood of 47,000 a year, and the opioid problem is right up there. It's like neck and neck. And so if we could limit access to the means for the pills and whatever, safety precautions we need to take. I had mentioned to someone the other day that called and was concerned. I had said, listen, make sure you secure the firearms and make sure you get pills out of the house. And they said, yeah, I've heard that before. And I said, but you know what? There's so much we can't control, but we know we can control that. So take that off the table so it's one less stress. And it really is. If you can remove access to means, it's a game changer.
Yes, it will save life.
It is. And so when that's coming up, when?
October 24th.
So
the
real
end
quick?
of this month, yeah.
You're going to have to tell me how that goes. How much gets turned in?
It'll be my first year doing it, so I'm
and is
excited.
it something you're advertising all over right now?
Not right now. We have a coalition meeting this coming up week, and then that's when we'll be pushing all the
Rocking it
advertising.
out.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's amazing, and that's gonna, those things are so simple, but they can save so many lives.
Agreed.
So, and what else you got coming up?
So after that, hopefully some more suicide prevention and substance abuse prevention training, not just for me, but for our coalition members. And then hopefully in the near future, working more with you.
Yeah.
And Life's Worth Living Foundation.
So, we're in. I want an excuse to come back down. They've got a restaurant down there called Frontier Village. And I have to tell you, so a funny story, not really doesn't relate to any of this, but it was a funny story. We had finished our training at the Calvary Chapel, and we were taking our group over there to have dinner. And as I was driving, I have a black car, black windows, and I think it was profiling. No, I'm teasing. But we were driving down Main Street, headed to Frontier Village.
Your windows are probably too tinted.
They are. They probably are. The back ones are really dark. And so as we were driving, all of a sudden, I said to Tracy, oh no, buckle up, we're getting pulled over. And sure enough, we were getting pulled over. And so I pulled over, and the police officer walked up to the car really cautiously, and I rolled down the window, and he says, where are you headed? And I said, I'm going to the restaurant up the road, and Frontier Village. And he goes, so pulling you over because one of your license plate lights is out.
Oh.
So to put this in perspective, the back license plate has two lights. One of them was still working, but one had burned out. Who knows? I can't see it when I'm driving, right? And so he pulled me over, and he goes, driver's license, registration. I give him all of that, hand it to him, and he goes, oh, you're down from Tooele, huh? What are you doing down here? And I said, well, actually, we were down doing suicide prevention training for you guys, for the police officers and first responders and prevention people. And he goes, oh, yeah, you were down for that. He goes, do you know where you're headed? Can I drive you over there? You can follow me over to the restaurant. So I have almost got busted in Richfield, but they let it slide because we've been down donating time for a couple of days. But But we would love to come back down. So let's you've been leaving me hanging this whole time.
What?
Tell me what the numbers did from from the year that we came down because of those high numbers to what they've done for the year following.
Okay, so these are the numbers I got from our chief of police.
Mm-hmm.
And so from May 2018 to August 2019,
mm-hmm.
the numbers were 14 suicides. And this is in Sevier County.
Sevier County as a whole.
Yes. 11 were by gun, and 5 of those 11 that were by gun were people under the age of 19 years.
Okay.
And then 14 of those suicides were 8 under the age of 19.
Wow.
Suicide threats and or attempts, there were 126. Now, from August 2019 to September 2020, so that was the time that after you came down till
a little bit before we came down, but
right
to now.
2 suicides.
2 suicides.
2 suicides. And those actually recently happened.
Recently.
Yes.
So since we talked last, probably.
Yes. So those recently happened. And attempts and or threats, there were 120. So those are still...
So those are staying steady.
Still, yes. But our suicides...
have dropped dramatically.
Yes.
Dropped dramatically.
When I saw that number, you get emotional about it because it's great to see, although 2 is also too many.
Too many for sure.
But it was great to see that number low.
That is awesome. And so what do you think, out of the things that you rolled forward this year, what do you think's made the biggest difference?
I honestly think that there's more awareness of it in our schools and that there's more help in our schools.
Huge.
Yeah, because our focus is on youth, and having those mental health coordinators in our schools, I think, have made a huge difference. And also being able to get the word out more. Our newspaper is on board, our mayor's on board. Our radio. Your
newspaper and the radio were amazing just in our coming down there and making sure that the word got out.
Yes. So
what a cool
I just think the word is just getting out a whole lot more.
And do you think more people are talking about it?
Yes.
As a community?
As a community, definitely.
And have you had people, so I'm curious about this, with that high number of suicides you had that previous year, that makes a large group of people that now are hopefully wanting to make a difference in their community. Have you had a lot of people come forward and say, we'd like to help? And
yes, we have. And if not help with the coalition, they help with the events that we do.
Yeah.
And they just want to be more on board with it because they've been affected by it and they know how serious it is. And so it's a part of their new life's mission, I guess, to help our community.
Well, and life is messy, and it never goes really kind of the way that you anticipate or hope for. Yeah. Sometimes it does, but life as a whole is a lot of unknown. And so when people go through these hard times and these challenges and are lost survivors and lose somebody that they love and care about, those people can be real assets in spreading the message to the rest of the community. And not only that, but what we found here in Tooele County is those people have the ability to give the best advice to the people that are struggling.
Right.
Because so often, how many times do you hear, we didn't see any signs, we had no idea this was ever going to happen? And unfortunately, for many, they don't see it. The signs may have been there, but they didn't see that. And so they've had time following a suicide to kind of gather their thoughts and formulate what they would have said if they could go
Right.
back in time. And so those people can be very powerful assets
I
moving
agree.
forward
I
and
do
making a
think-
difference to the community.
Yeah, I do think those who have been affected by something are like the better teachers, you know, who can help those who are struggling more,
Yeah.
I guess, effectively, because they've been through it,
Yeah.
you know.
And sometimes that's what you need, you know. It's like you hear of people being guides and taking people through to places. Well, they can't be a guide unless they've walked it
right.
before, you know. And so
Yeah.
that's really a blessing. I'm excited that those numbers dropped. I'm relieved those
Yes.
numbers dropped too.
Yes, it was very nice to see.
And I think it would be really fun if we can maybe do a phase 2.
Phase 2.
Would you be up for that if we came back down and maybe presented some new trainings and
I think
different?
so. I think the community wants those trainings because I think, I mean, one, we kind of need it. And two, why wouldn't you want to know the signs
Yeah.
or just the symptoms or something that's going on with somebody that you love?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, and there's lots of trainings that you guys could bring down for
Yeah,
us.
there's a few that I've got in mind that would be something different, but you know, so much of it's the same from one to the other, but presented just a little bit differently.
Right.
And maybe some areas go in more depth than others. And one that we're excited about that we're becoming trainers in is called Working Minds, and it's kind of designed for the workplace. And we were supposed to be trained and be trainers already, but then COVID broke out, and so they haven't flown in from Colorado to give us the trainer training yet. But you know, I didn't think much about it until our health department kind of put that together, and they've become trainers and asked Life's Living to become trainers as well, so that we can go into businesses. But you think about it, you usually, if you break down your day, you've got about 8 hours at work. 8 hours of sleep and 8 hours, you know, doing everything else, right?
Yes.
So it makes sense to focus on the workplace because some of the people that are going to be the most key to picking up if someone's in crisis is your coworker,
Yeah,
because they're
someone
with
you
you
work
all
with.
day.
Yeah.
I mean, we're at home, but we're sleeping for hopefully 8 hours of that. You know,
Not if you have
tonight's
kids.
a
Not if you
Friday
have little
night.
kids.
Yeah, those days are gone for me. Tonight I'm sleeping 10. But you know what I mean?
Me too. My kids are not with us, so
Up top.
yeah.
So, well, I'm way excited for the community. We love you guys down there, and we're so happy that it's kind of coming together. And it's not that you were doing anything wrong prior, but every once in a while it's kind of fun to. I enjoyed it just coming down and having new friendships with people
Yes.
down there, and so that's never going to change. We'll keep coming down, and you keep coming up, and
Well, I also think new faces in the community is also good.
yeah,
You know,
totally.
something to see new. You know.
Heck yeah. So I really, really appreciate you coming up tonight.
This has been fun.
That's a long drive.
I was kind of nervous, but it's easy talking to you.
You
But,
forgot
I
the
mean,
camera was even
I did for a
on.
little while. I didn't fix my hair, but no.
So what else? Is there anything that we missed? Anything that you wanted to bring up?
Not really, but just need to mention that the Central Utah Counseling Center has been on board with this whole prevention thing for our community.
That's way
They've been
cool.
great working with when we need to go to conferences, when we need to buy things here and there. They're all for it, and they want to see our prevention efforts, make a big deal in our communities, or be a big deal in our communities, make a difference.
So it sounds like they're an amazing
So they
community
are-
partner, and
They
so
are.
we'll
And
give them
I
a big
love
shout
working
out.
with them, so.
Well, you know what? You need those people.
Yes.
And it's amazing because when you're in an area like you are, it affects everybody. You know, one way or another, it affects everybody. And I think that's what amazed me the most was when I was in high school, I didn't know anybody that had died by suicide, not one.
Me neither.
And so now you go into the schools, and especially in your area and my area where a lot of people know each other, you go into an area and you say, how many of you have been affected by suicide? A lot of hands go up.
Yeah.
And so what you're doing is so important. It's so important to your community. And, you know, it's kind of a thankless job. So I want to tell you thank you for what you do, because you guys are amazing. And, you know, if you're listening to this and you live in Sevier County, thank those people that work in prevention, because let me tell you, it's rare that anybody gets thanked for what they do, and it's such a huge deal, and it makes such a difference. And so if you're kind of behind the scenes and maybe you've lost somebody and felt like nothing was happening down there, take a look around, because you'll be amazed that behind the scenes are all these worker bees that are doing things that you might not be aware of, from the school district to the communities that care, to the health department, to the counseling center, to all of these people, the first responders. We don't give them enough credit. The people in the emergency room, the police officers, firefighters.
Yeah, but we want to get them more involved.
They are the ones that get called. They're the first ones on scene, and they see some things that are not pleasant, and they work really hard. And, you know, I hear all the time from people that maybe have lost a loved one saying, I can't thank them enough for the care that they gave in that hard time. And so these people are in your community. They're working for you. They want to make a difference, and you guys are. And so thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so seriously, if anybody has any questions or want to get on board with the coalition or even in our prevention efforts, come to the Central Utah Counseling Center, and the front desk ladies will direct you to either myself or Ashley Gleave.
Perfect.
Because we are the prevention ladies there in Sevier County.
So if you're in that area and you want to be a part of what's going on to make a difference, and maybe it's because you lost a loved one, maybe it's just because it's a passion for you and you want to make a difference where you live, reach out to them, contact them, and they'll put you to work, right?
Yeah.
We can always use extra hands on deck. So, well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody down there. So I hope when you go back that you'll give our love to everybody down there. Let them know that we're thinking of them, and if there's anything that we can ever do, you got my number.
I do.
You just holler at us. And
okay.
So, again, guys, thanks for coming back for another week. This is something that we just really want to talk about, because every community at one point or another goes through a rough year. And it could be any of us next year, could be any of us right now. And we don't wish that upon anybody, but the point is, there are so many people. Make a difference where you can, and I think that's really what it boils down to. And next time it may be a county away from you, and you guys will be able to jump in and lend a hand to those people. And so wherever you're at, pay attention to what's going on around you, and make a difference where you can. I think that's key. And thanks again for coming back week after week, and you come for these amazing guests and to hear their stories. And so we really owe you for driving all this way. And so tonight, she's going to kick back at the Comfort Inn and Suites in Lake Point, and we want to thank them for providing a room and making you comfortable tonight. So if you're coming up to Tooele County and you want to stay in a nice hotel, give them a call, 801-250-3600.
Yeah, if you want to see a Porsche in the lobby of a hotel,
yeah,
you need to go here.
So one thing about Tooele County is Larry Miller built his dream racetrack here, and it was Miller Motorsports Park. It has since changed to Utah Motorsports Park, or Motorsports Campus, and that hotel has an actual race car Porsche in the lobby, and it's a beautiful hotel. I've been over there multiple times, and it's just a great place to stay. So if you're coming this way, it's just right off I-80, and come up and stay with them. We want to thank GTM Builders again for all of their support over the years and making it possible for this podcast, recording in their beautiful model home. Look for them on gtmbuilders.com or visit one of their 4 model homes in Tooele County. And again, tonight's episode was brought to you by A. Warner Homes Real Estate. So if you're in the market thinking about buying or selling, these guys will take care of you. give them a call at 801-867-5078. If you have any ideas for me, something you'd like talked about on the podcast, or if you think you've got a story or a guest that would be good, reach out to me at 435-277-0235. Leave me a message. I will call you back, or email me at lifesworthlivingfoundation@gmail.com. Check us out on social media to see what we're doing. And again, thanks for your support. This podcast is reached far more people than I ever thought it would, and I can't thank you enough for that. So we will see you again next week. Thanks so much. Bye.